Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
The family says they're heartbroken.
I will never be happy until when we find justice for Patrick.
Patrick Lyoya's mother blasts the decision to not retry the ex-officer who fatally shot her son.
Patrick Lyoya was fatally shot on April 4th of 2022. Christopher Scher, the officer who pulled the trigger, was tried for murder, but a mistrial was declared after the jury couldn't reach a unanimous verdict.
And today, 21 days after the judge declared that mistrial, his family took time to speak out.
Through a translator, they're speaking about the pain this has caused, even years after his death. So let's get out to Will Jones. So, Will, the prosecutor was pretty clear on why he decided to not retry this case.
DeMond and Kimberly Kent County Prosecutor Chris Becker said a second trial would end in the same way, but he called it a difficult decision for the Lyoya family. They waited a long time for the trial, and they wanted a second go at justice.
This decision really broke me down, and my heart is still bleeding right now.
Speaking through an interpreter, the parents of Patrick Lyoya sharing their heartbreak over Kent County Prosecutor Chris Becker's decision not to retry the case against former Grand Rapids police officer Christopher Scher.
I will never be happy until when we find justice for Patrick. And to see that the murderer who killed my son, and my son right now is in his tomb, and the murderer is still free and enjoying with his family, that is really painful to me.
Scher was on trial for second-degree murder, but the jury could have considered a lesser charge of manslaughter.
You're unable to reach a verdict as a panel?
Correct.
After 4 days of deliberation, the jury couldn't reach a decision. That prompted the judge to declare a mistrial. Prosecutor Becker expressed doubts that a second jury would reach a different verdict. Then Johnson, who is representing the Lyoya family, thanked Becker for filing charges in the first place, but shared his frustration with the outcome.
Scher absolutely committed homicide when he put a bullet in the back of his head when he didn't have to save his own life. Did not have to.
We black in this country, we are not important to the justice. We are not important to the justice.
Scher's attorney has said that a retrial would not be good for anyone. They don't believe the outcome would be any different. The Lyoya family is going after Scher in civil court. They have filed a lawsuit. A conference on that lawsuit is scheduled for some time next month. DeMond, of course, we will continue to follow this civil case. Back to you.
So, Will, quick question for you. Is there any concern from the Lyoya family or their attorney about how the criminal trial could possibly or potentially impact the civil case?
Attorneys for the Lyoya family don't believe the criminal case will have any impact on the civil case. They say a different standard applies in the civil arena. DeMond?
All right, Will, thanks for following up on this one.
In more news tonight, a 3-year-old child is in the hospital after a crash on I-96 in Detroit. That crash happened this morning about 9:40 on the eastbound lanes near the Southfield Freeway. Police say the 3-year-old was thrown into the windshield from the back seat. The 3-car crash was caused, police say, by a 32-year-old woman from Detroit who had the child in her car. The child was taken to the hospital. No other serious injuries were reported.
Take a live look at pictures right now from the White House tonight. Late this afternoon, an appeals court ruled President Trump's tariffs can be reinstated. Now, that comes less than 24 hours after a federal court ruling that slammed the brakes on them, and that comes as the president continues to use his pardon power in some high-profile cases. Capping off a tumultuous day involving President Trump's tariffs, an appeals court temporarily reinstated the tariffs after a federal court dealt a major blow to his economic strategy. The latest news in the wake of the U.S. Court of International Trade ruling that the president does not have authority to impose tariffs. Lawmakers usually do that. The president bypassed Congress by declaring a national economic emergency. The administration immediately appealed the ruling.
And we're very confident in our success there.
And attacked the judges. Though one judge was appointed by President Trump in his first administration, the others by Republican President Ronald Reagan and President Obama. This ruling did not affect specific industry tariffs, such as the 25% tax on steel and aluminum. Shortly before the ruling, the president, on the defense over his tariff strategy, asked about a new Wall Street term, taco, short for Trump always chickens out.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145%? When you ask a nasty question like that, It's called negotiation.
Small businesses originally brought the claim before the International Trade Court. Now that the tariffs are able to move forward, they could still face high charges. And today, President Trump met with the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. The Fed says the two men discussed economic growth and inflation, and that Powell did not speculate on future interest rate decisions.
There's a lot of buzz on Mackinac Island during day 3 of the annual policy conference, but the big talker is what happened 643 miles away at the White House. Back to some live pictures right here of the White House. Right here is where President Trump said he'd look into pardons for the men who plotted to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Jason Colthorpe sat down with the governor today. He's live on Mackinac Island with what she had to say. Jason.
Good evening, Kim. And you know, the thing is, what we learned in the hours after I spoke to the governor, and it's courtesy of an exclusive by Michigan Public Radio, it's that the governor actually talked to President Trump about the pardons prior to that. It wasn't at the White House during that visit of hers, but it was in a different conversation where the president asked her straight out, would you be opposed if I pardoned these guys? And she said, I would. I would have a real problem with it. I'd have to speak out. He said, forget it. And then we learned yesterday he's again considering it. Here's what the governor told me.
The first question, obviously, I'm sure you've heard the president has talked about now actually considering a pardon for the people that attempted to kidnap and kill you, even going as far as saying they may have been railroaded. Do you agree that they've served enough time? That
I'll just say this. I think anything short of condemning political violence does everyone a disservice. You know, when that man shot at Donald Trump when he was on the campaign trail in Pennsylvania, I was one of the first public officials on either side of the aisle to condemn it. I don't care what someone's politics are. None of us signs up to have political violence, to be the target of political violence. It has ramifications for every one of us. People in the press get threats. I know that people who are on the bench get threats. It is, it's really dangerous. And so I would be very disappointed if they take that action.
Disappointed, the word the governor using there at the end, if this does come to fruition. The other item, maybe the Mackinac Policy Conference saving the best for last, because about to get underway in 20 minutes, a Detroit mayoral debate. I believe it's 5 candidates that are going to be facing off here, and we're going to see just how this plays out. And one insider telling me whoever wins this, because you have a huge business community watching this very closely up here, whoever wins this is going to get a surge of money going forward in the race. So a very pivotal debate about to get underway. We'll have the highlights of that for you coming up tonight at 11. I'm Mackinac Island, Jason Colthorpe, Local 4.
We look forward to your reports then. Jason, thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.
Right now, we're learning Motown legend Smokey Robinson is suing 4 former housekeepers and their lawyers for defamation. Now, this comes after he was accused of sexual assault in a lawsuit filed earlier this month. That lawsuit accuses Robinson of multiple assaults over several years. Now, the singer denies the claims, alleging extortion, and he's seeking $500 million in damages. Lawyers for the accusers say it's an attempt to silence the alleged victims.
A fatal fentanyl overdose in Lenawee County led to a major drug bust. Eric Lee Cooper from Adrian is facing multiple felonies after police found guns and nearly 2 pounds of heroin, fentanyl, and cocaine at his home. The bust follows the death of 34-year-old Paul Jones from Blissfield, who died from a fentanyl overdose. Cooper is charged with several offenses, including drug delivery and possession of firearms.
All right, now let's check in on the weather, and here's live pictures of the pit area for this weekend's Detroit Grand Prix. You know, we're hoping for no rain after the soggy night last night, and we're also hoping for some warmer weather after the cool stretch of days we've been experiencing.
That's right. That would be really nice to see. Let's get over to 4-1 meteorologist Kim Adams and a look at what we're in store for tonight, Kim.
Well, tonight's fine. There could be a couple sprinkles here and there, but overall a dry night for us. Little concern for tomorrow evening. We've had a little increase in the timing of some rain tomorrow night. Now, Couple things here. First of all, it will be scattered. And second of all, it will just really be after about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. But if you are headed downtown, I know they have that cruise for the Grand Prix. Just know there's that slight chance of a shower, but we're going to keep an eye on it. It's a great night to keep your 411 weather app handy because, again, not everyone is going to see the rain tomorrow evening, but that chance does exist as our high tomorrow gets to 76. Right now, a really nice night. We've got mostly cloudy skies. It's a little breezy, but temps are still below average by 10 degrees. We should be at 75. We're only at 65 in Detroit, Ann Arbor 64, and Pontiac barely making it into the low 60s. But we'll talk about a big warm up, including temps into the 80s. We'll do that coming up.
All right, Kim. And there's a lot more to come here at 5.
Let's check in with Lauren Kostick.